Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt, and today I want to talk about 10 suggestions I have for anyone shopping for a home brewer for Christmas, or also maybe you are a home brewer yourself and you're just looking for some cheap upgrades you can make to your setup. I also want to mention a few other things too. Everything on the list will be under $50, and I'm going to start from the least expensive to the most expensive down the list. Also, around the channel, I am using a DSLR camera for recording, so hopefully the quality looks a little bit nicer than it typically does. So let me know in the information section down below if you notice a quality change. It should look nicer, but we're just going to go ahead with this for this video, and we'll see how it goes for the next few videos. So my first recommendation is getting home brewing books. Home brewing books are really great for beginner home brewers or experienced home brewers. There's a lot of different options out there. The one that I can personally recommend is the Practical Guide series on yeast, malt, hops, and water. Those are more advanced books for people who have been brewing for a while. It's a deep dive into each of those ingredients. There's also Brewing Classic Styles, How to Brew, and then there's also The Complete Joy of Home Brewing. Those three books are great for beginner to intermediate brewers. But even experienced brewers might even find some useful information in there, maybe stuff they forgot and they can freshen up on. So I can highly recommend those books, and it's great to have some books laying around, especially for recipe development. The next recommendation I want to mention is a sensitive scale. I use this little sensitive Taylor sensitive scale. It measures in grams and ounces, and I got this from Target, I believe. Everything will have be in the information section below as far as links and pricing is concerned. I believe this was around $18 though, and this is really nice to have for brewing salt additions or to measure your hops, or if you need to add some DME the day of. It's really nice to have a sensitive scale, especially for brewing salts. You definitely need a sensitive scale in grams for brewing salts, but even if you don't do brewing salt additions, still having a sensitive scale so quickly accessed on brew day is really, really convenient. The next thing I want to mention is a quick read thermometer. This is the one I have. I believe it's from Northern Brewer. I want to say it's probably around $20-ish as well. Again, everything will be in the information section below. And this is really great for a few reasons. One is it's nice to have on-demand quick temperature reading. If you use the big stainless steel thermometers that come with the like turkey boilers and the big kettles, those are great, but you also have to calibrate those, which a lot of people don't know. So your thermometer, you might even be not even reading the right temperature, and they also take a little bit to actually read the right temperature. Where this is very convenient to have an instant access to what your temperature is for the brew day. So I'd highly recommend getting one of these, as it's a pretty cheap buy. The next thing I want to mention is a really two-part, and it's getting a nice hydrometer and a refractometer. So this is a refractometer, and it uses light to measure the water to sugar ratio and to measure original gravity or final gravity. Really meant to original gravity. These aren't really recommended for final gravity, but you can still read it if you'd like. What you do is you just put a few drops of wort or beer on this little glass thing. You can close this up, and then you can look into some light, and it will actually tell you what your gravity is, which is pretty quick and easy, and you also don't need to use a lot of liquid for this. These are really great to determine pre-boil gravity on brew day, where you don't have to measure out a ton of wort to make your measurements. So these are pretty handy to have on site. The next thing I want to mention too, as part of this category, is a nice hydrometer. And the hydrometer I'm using is from Brewing America, and they actually have a really nice set of glass hydrometers that are really, really nice. This one I have is not a mash hydrometer, it's just a normal hydrometer that's calibrated to 60 degrees. They also sell mash hydrometers, which are really cool, but those are calibrated to read at 155 degrees. And those are great to measure your pre-boil gravity readings to make sure if you need to make any adjustments. You can still use any of these equipment to measure pre-boil gravity, even if it's not a mash hydrometer. You just have to wait for the sample to cool down, or there's some online calculators you can use to do that math for you instead of waiting for it to cool down. My next recommendation is to get a good drill stir stick, and this is for aeration. Boiled wort or boiled water is void of any oxygen, so it's really, really important that you get oxygen back in your wort before fermentation, as oxygen is required for healthy fermentation. A lot of people, beginners, just shake the bucket. That's one way to get oxygen in. Or maybe some people also use diffusion stones. That's what I used in the beginning. But these work great. This will kick so much oxygen in your beer. Ever since I switched to this is pretty much all I use now, and they're pretty cheap. You do need a drill. That's the only thing. So if you don't have a drill, this might not be super cheap, but you can buy a really cheap drills on Amazon or Harbor Freight if you have one in your local area. I think you can get a drill for like $20 or $30. So these are really great. You just attach it to the drill, you turn it up, and then you get going on storing up your wort, and it kicks a lot of oxygen in that wort like I mentioned before. The only downsides of these is they can be messy, so you kind of want to find the right speed and the right depth you need to go to kick a lot of oxygen in the beer, but you're not splashing the wort all over the place. So it's kind of a fine balance with these things, but it's a really great thing and I highly recommend it. Another recommendation I want to make is kind of a two-part, just like I was talking about with the refractometer and the hydrometer, and that's using some filtration. So I used this strainer, which I want to say is like a $20-ish or $30-ish. And these are great if you throw everything into the boil kettle on brew days, so like your hops and all your stuff like that. All of that trub and stuff like that will build at the bottom of the kettle, and a lot of that will make its way into the fermenter. This is a great way to stop all of that crap from going in the fermenter, so you have just beer in the fermenter. These are also, the nice thing about this too is it's actually it perfectly fits like a 5-gallon bucket. So if you're using bucket fermenters, you can just set this right on top of the bucket and just pour it right in. You don't need a second person to hold this. Another recommendation is a hop spider. This is what I use, and these are very important if you have like pumps or a lot of lines and a lot of valves, like I do. But hop spiders are kind of meant to catch all this stuff before it floats around in your kettle. So these, you can just put the hops directly into the hop spider, and this will catch all that crap before it gets thrown around in your system. And also that hops, again, like I mentioned with the strainer, this won't make it into your fermenter either. The next thing I want to recommend is a yeast starter kit. So yeast starters are sweet for two main reasons. The first, and I think the most important, is you can propagate more yeast. So this will actually save you a lot of money in the future if you use this a lot. But if you brew 5-gallon batches and you only use 1 packet of dry or liquid yeast, 90% of the time you are under pitching, which is not great for yeast health and overall beer flavor. So I'd highly recommend getting one of these. You can just pitch your full packet of yeast in here a day before or 2 days before you make a mini beer. There's lots of recipes online to follow as far as how much sugar you need to add, how much water you need to add. But you're pretty much making like a mini beer in here, pitching your yeast in this, and then letting it propagate for about 24 to 48 hours. You can double or triple the amount of yeast you have naturally just using just a flask like this. So that's what I've been doing for the last few years to save money, because if you are doing some shopping and looking around, a pack of yeast, depending on what you're using, will cost anywhere between $5 and $11 per pack, depending on what type of yeast you're buying. So these are great for that. Another benefit of using yeast starter flasks is yeast health can make massive impacts on your beer flavor. Stressed out yeast or not very active yeast can definitely make an impact on your final product. This will kind of wake the yeast up and get them ready for fermentation day. You'll notice with using a yeast starter, you're going to see fermentation kick off almost immediately once you pitch the yeast starter slurry into the fermenter. So these are great. I can't recommend these enough, and they're pretty cheap as well. The next thing I want to recommend is kind of self-explanatory. It's beer kits. Beer kits, they're everywhere. You can go to your local homebrew supply store, and I'm sure they sell some pre-made kits. You can go to Northern Brewer, More Beer. There's lots of online retailers that sell pre-made kits. The quality, you're not dipping on the quality. It's real ingredients. They're just getting all the grains, hops, yeast, and everything together for you. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they also come with pretty nice instructions. I know Northern Brewer does, and I can attest to that because I've been using their kits for a few years now. But yeah, it's a great idea if you just don't know if you don't really know much about the equipment, but you have a homebrewer in the family, you just get them a beer kit and or a gift card for a beer kit, and they can get the beer kit or the beer style they want, or if you know they like hoppy beers, get them a pale ale or an IPA or something like that beer kit, and then they can make 5 gallons of beer on you, which is pretty sweet. The second to last thing I want to mention is a fermenter. It's the Big Mouth Bubbler from Northern Brewer. I've been using the Big Mouth Bubbler for probably 4 or 5 years now. I have 2 of them, they've been working out really great. I like the Big Mouth Bubbler over buckets and glass for a few main reasons. One, glass is terrible. You should never use glass fermenters anyway. They're expensive, they can be dangerous, and they're a pain to clean. The Big Mouth Bubbler is plastic, so you can drop it. It's not going to shatter. They're cheaper than glass as well, and they're pretty easy to clean because they have a nice big opening on top that you can fit your whole arm down. The nice thing about the big mouth bubbler that is nice over a bucket is two main reasons. One, it's clear, so you can see what's going on during your fermentation and check out the beer without opening up the top of the actual lid. And the other thing is it comes with a spigot hole pre-attached, and they also come with little spigots. The big mouth bubbler also comes with a carrying strap. They used to not come with those. I actually had to get mine separate, but now they all come with the carrying straps, which is really cool. I think they're going to run you about 40 bucks. The last thing I want to recommend is a pH meter, and this is the most expensive item that's just a few pennies under $50. But this pH meter I've been using for a long time. It's a great pH meter. I'll put a link down in the information section below. It's great because it's a very good entry-level pH meter. A lot of people use it. A lot of YouTubers use it, so I can trust it because a lot of experienced brewers are using it. The nice thing is it comes with some calibration solution. It comes with a carrying case, and it also comes with a laminated card in there that will have all the instructions on how to use it during brew day, so you don't have to break out, like go to online or look up anything like that online during brew day. But that about covers my 10 recommendations for Christmas. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any other recommendations, as I know there can be, this video could be a lot longer than this. But feel free to comment down in the comment section down below, and we can chat there for Christmas ideas. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.